You're listening to the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS podcast with hosts Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What's going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome to the Better Baseball MLB DFS Playbook live stream here. Breaking down Friday's 13-game main slate for everybody. James, little TGIF, sir.
TGIF, John. Should I get TGIF? Is it acceptable to eat TGIF if it's not Friday? Like, I feel like that's one of those things
last
where
time I
like
actually ate at a Fridays. It's been a while. It's been a very.
I'm not going in
no,
public.
But like even
that
had,
sounds
even
terrible.
like even had like Friday's food. It's been
Okay.
like at least a decade. So
Well, it is Friday, and I was feeling I'm eating out today, John. It's Friday. You get to the end of the day. There's storms going out there, and just
is it still raining for you? You're still dealing with all the rain?
It just doesn't stop.
Never ending rain for you.
It just does. I said if I ever were to go into a different profession, I would just be a meteorologist in the South, because I would just say, no offense to meteorologists, but I would just get on TV, right? And I'd say, there's a chance it's going to rain today. And I would be 100%.
It's August in the Carolinas. I'm going to say it's going to be humid. It's going to be hot. And it's probably going to have thunderstorms.
Bingo. You're never going to be wrong.
100% there. So we got 13 games to talk about. All you guys rolling in the chat here. Welcome in. Remember, we go to get a little RT Sports DFS Pick'em plays here, James. Those of you who are not yet signed up for rtsports.com, go to rtsports.com/alarm. Promo code alarm 23. New users who do sign up will get a 100% deposit match up to $200. You can use that deposit match to participate in the DFS Pick'em contest, or can use that deposit match money to participate in their fantasy football, best ball, and seasonal championship contest that they got going on right now for the upcoming fantasy football season. It is the Fantasy Football Expo week, so a lot of us here are going out there over at the Canton, Ohio, James, for the Fantasy Football Expo today.
Yeah, I hope everyone's having fun. I hope everyone's safe in Canton, Ohio, John. But it does seem like it's going to be a fun time. Salute who went out there from Fantasy Alarm? Howard, Britt, Colby. Who do we have a good Coop carrying the baby above his head.
Yeah.
Out there in Canton. So I hope
good representation for Fantasy Alarm out there at the Fantasy Football Expo. So with that said, though, let's go to our RT Sports DFS Pick'em plays of the day. Taking a look at the RT Sports DFS Pick'em board here, James. I did the plays today over on YouTube. You can check those out. If you want to check them out there, you can watch the video. I'll give you a little sneak peek of my favorite play for today of the two picks that I gave out. We're going to Atlanta versus the Mets. Going to go to one Matt Olson here, because why not? More than 1.5 total bases for our guy. Just almost like a set it and forget it play most nights here. He's got 40 homers. Tyler McGill on the mound for the Mets. He sucks. Can't pitch against left-handed hitters. We know Olson smashing righty, so give me the more than 1.5 total bags for Matt Olson tonight.
Love it. Love it. He was the cover of our show today too. So obviously nothing on this side of the screen that's going to disagree with you. I'm going to attack your team here, John.
Sure.
And I'm going to head to one Tarek Skubal over 5.5 strikeouts. And I bring this up because you look at Boston, and we've talked about it a couple times. Lefty riddled lineup there in the old, and Trevor Story helps, and some
sort of
late
7 strikeouts since he's come back.
Well, I'm just saying, like, at least he is a right-handed bat in a world of lefty bats there in Boston. Boston has a 27.6% strikeout rate since the All-Star break against left-handed pitching. That's the 4th highest mark in the league. They're also bottom 5 in pretty much every other category against left-handed pitching. So give me more than 5.5 strikeouts for Tarek Skubal tonight, who threw his most pitches in a game this year, 88 in his last time out. He has 33 strikeouts through his first 27 innings this year.
Well, those of you who tuned into the Better Sports Betting Show here, you would have known that my MLB play of the day was Tarek Skubal more than 5.5 strikeouts. So I am,
Okay. Well,
I am 100% in lockstep with you there. So let's stick with the 2-pick here today. We got 3x return on our plays. Matt Olson more than 1.5 total bags. Tarek Skubal more than 5.5 strikeouts. If you want a third play, go to the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel. Check out our RT Sports DFS pick and plays of the day. You can get that third play that I have in there along with Matt Olson for today. Get an opportunity to 6x your cash here this evening. So once again, go to rtsports.com/alarm. Promo code alarm23. New users who sign up get a 100% deposit match with their first deposit up to $200 here. All right, James, let's now turn our attention to this DraftKings main slate. 13 games on the board. We'll take a trip over to Vegas and take a look at what we got going on for the spreads here this evening, my friend.
Nice graphic, dude. We missed it the last couple days.
Missed it
or
one
yesterday,
day.
I think.
We missed it one day.
For the 4 I was just giving you crap for it. Yeah, so the obvious number one game on the board in terms of over-unders tonight, it's moved to 11, is St. Louis, Kansas City, as you see. It opened at 10.5. Very close spread. Not exactly the most exciting pitching matchup you've ever seen from a pitcher fan perspective, but a very fun one to attack from a DFS standpoint. Adam Wainwright taking the mound for St. Louis, and Angel Zerpa is expected to be the long man for Kansas City today, left-hander, who was a starter in the minor leagues, and we'll get to his numbers in a little bit in the minor leagues because they are quite interesting. But that is, like, as you can see, like, that's the only thing that really stands out, at least in over-under land. Lance Lynn and the Los Angeles Dodgers are minus 300 favorites here. Houston almost minus 200. That's it, John. There's nothing that like stands out as much as the Kansas City St. Louis game total.
Yeah, 100% here. And that was a game that maybe had a little weather issues towards it, but some updates on that weather report making it seem a lot better.
Hell yeah.
Pop-up storms are always potentially coming up around this area, but not nearly as daunting as it could have been. Then we got a couple of games with winds blowing out. Detroit, Boston, winds blowing out there. Milwaukee, Chicago, we got winds blowing out in that game as well. So maybe if you're looking at some matchups to target, it could certainly be those contests there. Let's go. Let's break down this DraftKings slate. We got 13 games here on the board. Top pitcher price-wise here this evening, Corbin Burnes, 11-2. Blake Snell, 10-6. Louis Castillo, $10,000. We were both all in on Corbin Burnes this morning. One of my player props I like today was Corbin Burnes over 6.5 strikeouts against the White Sox here. So definitely a spot I'm looking to attack here tonight.
What do you make of Corbin Burnes only being 7% projected?
I think people think he maybe is too expensive. That would be my guess.
That would be my guess too, but like he's been in Cy Young form outside of, the strikeouts in the last two starts. Like, it's not like there was damage done. He faced Washington, who doesn't strike out. We've said that all year, and they've only actually gotten better since trading Heimer Candelario, which is crazy to say in strikeouts, not in like actual offense. And then Pittsburgh's been pesky and annoying, right? And he had 4 walks, and there were a lot of pitches in 6 innings. Yeah. So, I'm confused because usually when a guy has double-digit strikeout upside, like we've seen from Corbin Burnes in 2 of his last 5 starts, it's like, I would, get to a guy
and this is
against a team
ceiling
strikes out a lot.
Yeah, ceiling strikeout game potentially for him. We saw Dane Dunning have 10 strikeouts against the White Sox. So,
dude, 7% stands out, and we're gonna get to where all the ownership's going soon, but like, that's a great GPP pivot because you and I previewed a bunch of really good SP2s on the podcast this morning. I think one we kind of excluded, and Tarek Skubal will throw into that equation too. So I think there's a lot of interesting mix and matches that you can get Corbin Burnes in your lineup.
Tell me everybody's playing Louis Castillo tonight.
he is one of the three guys that
Because you
everyone's
know that
playing.
I am all about playing the O's when the field is on the chalk pitching,
It's always Baltimore, dude. It's always Baltimore.
especially a
That is
guy that gives up home runs like Castillo does. One of my props again that I did on the Better Sports Betting Show was Luis Castillo more than 2.5 earned runs at plus 125 here tonight. Cedric Mullins back in the lineup for Baltimore. Adley Rutschman's been on fire. Gunnar Henderson. Santander has a lot of power. I mean, given just the propensity for home run balls, I mean, sure, at Arizona, at Minnesota, he's managed to keep the ball in the yard. That's great. He comes up right back with 3 home runs allowed to LA. And then, of course, he had this stretch where he had allowed was like 11 home runs, 14 home runs, and like a 5-game span. So, yeah, you have a team that hits a lot of home runs in Baltimore against a guy that gives up a lot of home runs in Luis Castillo. I'm again looking to fade Castillo on this slate at 10K.
Yeah, I'm not against it. And we've said it. Like, if he's giving up home runs, he's in trouble. Now, he has been better at home. He still has given up 11 home runs at home, so it's not like it's much better, but it is a better ballpark than most others. But I find myself not going there. I'd rather just spend down. And where everyone's spending down, John, is first off, Lance Lynn is over 50% projected. And we talk about this all the time. Look, biggest favorite on the board, and he gets Colorado. It's just the natural, right? It's just naturally going to happen. So he's over 50%, which is insane because there's.
Listen, he gave up 3 home runs against Oakland. He had 24 fantasy points, so he can still do it, you know?
And then everyone else is getting Justin Verlander, which I found a little interesting. Not that I think he's a bad play. Not that, but I also don't think he's like second highest rostered good, because I think there's a lot of plays underneath Justin Verlander that I'd rather play, especially, you and I have kind of made it known we're playing Corbin Burns, and Mark brought up, I think maybe the biggest point of this of all, like it's a lineup that has Yoan Moncada hitting 4th tonight. There's no Luis Robert. So that's a little puzzling. I'm not going to get to Verlander all that much tonight. Angels back-to-back wins. The Moose is on the loose. He's also like not missing bats, even on a more consistent. I mean, I know we just talked about Corbin Burns only having 10 strikeouts his last 2, but like Corbin Burns has 13 strikeout ceiling thus far this season. Like Verlander has hit double-digit strikeouts the same amount of times you and I have hit double-digit strikeouts. Right. So I know there's a significant price gap, but honestly, I'd rather almost play Lance Lynn than play Justin Verlander at this rate.
Sure.
I don't know if that's.
I mean, listen, I get what you're saying. Now, the Angels for a bit there, and I'll see if I can get the numbers. We're providing a pretty decent strikeout rate for righty pitchers. So like there could have been a potential where maybe Verlander gets to 7 Ks tonight, doesn't give up many runs. The way he's been pitching, really keeping the ball, in the ballpark, which is huge for him. A couple of years ago, he gave up 35 home runs. Not giving up the home run ball has been big for him this season. Angels on the season, 5th highest strikeout rate against right-handed pitching. Last 30 days, 4th highest strikeout rate at 27%. Last 2 weeks for the Angels, they have a 29% strikeout rate against right-handed pitching. So if you're looking for a reason to get to Verlander tonight, like the strikeout, this is a matchup where he should, in theory, have a ceiling type potential when it comes to punch outs here. So that's the one thing I could get to. I think also Dan Servideo brought up at home when he's a member of the Astros, he had a really good record in Houston. He's sort of his return home start since being traded back there. I think also could be lending a little bit to that play. We do have a lot of questions though about the mid-tier guys. So looking at our comments here, Faisal wants to know Skubal or Oviedo, Ice Drew, Snell, Barrios, Oviedo here. Jason, Lance Lynn, Corbin Burns, and FanDuel, who we've talked about a little bit. So, The mid-tier is a little bit interesting. Oviedo has been unbelievable lately. And as long as the lefty bats aren't doing damage against him, he's been lights out. You look at the lefties in the lineup here for the Reds, and it's Votto, it's Friedel, it's Ellie, and it's like Will Benson, right? So can he navigate his way around that crew here? Or do you find yourself going somewhere else when it comes to the mid-tier?
So I think it's interesting. Oviedo is definitely getting a lot of ownership tonight. He's one of 5 guys in double figures. So, I probably, in most situations where Oviedo is on the board, would pivot to like Tarek Skubal in a tournament. I'm perfectly fine going Oviedo as my SP2. I'm perfectly fine going Christopher Sanchez as my SP2. I wrote him up in my MLB DFS value article you could find at fantasyalarm.com today. Before his last start, he had a sub 3 RA, and then he got hit around by those pesky Royals because the Royals have been annoying to pitch against lately. But I could see a start that Oviedo is really good. The one thing that he has always struggled with, and you look up and down the box score, it's very evident. The walks can be dreadful for him. So you get a free swinging team like the Reds. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing for him. Can you rely on another win? He's won 3 straight games, right? And games where his offense has only given him 4 and 3 runs. I don't know. I would rather Skubal strikeout upside or a similar price. I would almost rather Christopher Sanchez, to be fair, has good strikeout upside here. He's not a massive strikeout guy, but 48 strikeouts and 52 and a third this year. And he gets the Twins, who have a 25% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching this year and rank in the bottom 5 in most categories against left-handed pitching. So I would say, like, of this 7K tier, Oviedo at the highest ownership, well, him and Sanchez are comparable, would probably be last for me. Skubal first, Sanchez. Probably, actually, how they are priced and listed on DraftKings is how I'd rank them.
The Sanchez one is the biggest mystery for me because I've gone back and forth, and I'm actually playing him in our Roto League tonight as well. So on the year, 100%, you're dead on. Minnesota against left-handed pitching. They've struggled, right? But you look at the last couple of weeks here, Minnesota against lefties, and they've been a lot better. 330 WOBA, a 220 ISO against left-handed pitching. I don't know where that's coming from, because they have a lot of lefties in the lineup, but just a 17% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching for the last 2 weeks. But again, like, who is it? Is that just all like Jeffers? Like, who's doing that damage here? Because Wallner and Kepler and Julian and all, they're all Gallo, they're all left-handed hitters. So is it also just a fact that maybe they're just facing some trash lefties and they're just taking advantage of that as well? But on the year, lefties against Minnesota have crushed. Recent sample sizes, lefties have been getting killed by the Twins. So I am with you. Like, I'm willing to roll Sanchez in a lineup. The recent sample size stuff has me like, what's the real deal here?
Right. Sure. I mean, I can't, like, it is interesting. I mean, it's not like anybody has come, like Jorge Polanco has come back, but he's not even hitting.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's not like they've.
I don't know
they've added anybody.
I don't know who's doing it for them. So
shout out Jordan Luplow, who's been here for a week.
Yeah, exactly. So just something I needed to point out, just because I've really gone back and forth on lines, putting him in there. It's probably still fine for a one lineup play. Their on base percentage against lefties is still 299 during that stretch as well. They're just hitting for power. They're getting the 340 WOBA there as well. So, but what's your thoughts? So FanDuel, we got a couple FanDuel questions here. Corbin Burns is $1,000 more than Lance Lynn on FanDuel. Would you rather Corbin Burns or Lance Lynn?
I mean, he's $2,000 more on DraftKings too, know. So,
but on DraftKings you could play them both. If you're on FanDuel, you got to pick one.
Sure. Let's see what the ownership's going to be. It's going to be Lance Lynn heavily favoring, obviously, is my expectation. Yeah, highest rostered pitcher. Like, that just doesn't feel good. Lance Lynn is the highest rostered pitcher of the day with like So here's the tier gap. He is 39% projected on FanDuel. The next highest rostered pitcher is 12th. So you're asking me if I want to play a guy that is 10x basically every other pitcher other than Luis Castillo, I'd rather just play the field.
Sure.
So I'll answer Corbin Burns, but my answer is actually just the field versus Lance Lynn at 40.
So Jason, I mean, listen, I think this is a smash play for Corbin Burns here tonight. So I'd rather spend up and get him there. Obviously, if you need the $1,000, like play the chalk Lance Lynn, get a little different with your lineup. I see 3 U's that wanted to know Snell, Barrios, or Oviedo. Obviously, all different price points. Would you play Snell tonight though against Arizona?
I mean, Arizona's lost 8 in a row, so he has that going for him. Just a matter of will Blake Snell throw strikes and throw enough strikes to where he can get into the 6th inning, right? I mean, you're not playing him on FanDuel. How about we just say that? You're not playing him on FanDuel because he is just not registering quality starts. He's gone 6 innings once in his last 5 starts. So I'll say Snell is a DraftKings only play, in tournaments only, because you have on one side of the fence, Arizona's not doing anything really on either side of the baseball, but Snell is going to hurt himself more often than not. Barrios, I don't know. Do we need to go there against the Cubs? That feels a little, and like at that point, like you have 2 guys. He's wedged in between 2 of the 3 most popular pitchers. And then you have like a lot of value at 7K and below, so you can in tournament. I'm not going to deter you off Barrios if that's where your research has taken you, but Cubs are one of the hottest teams in baseball. And as well as they've pitched, I mean, it's not because of that. Their offense has been otherworldly.
The last pitcher today that I had just kind of tough decision-making, and maybe you can help me make the decision here. Andrew Abbott. Right, going up against the Pittsburgh Pirates. You go look on Fangraphs, you see Abbott with his shiny 2.93 ERA, but that's matched by an expected ERA of 3.72, a FIP of 3.97, an xFIP of 4.61, almost 3.5 walks per 9. The K per 9 is actually starting to fall down to 9.42 strikeouts per 9 innings for him after being over 10 for a while. So a lot of numbers suggesting regression. And then you go look at the Pittsburgh Pirates. And over the last 30 days, they have an 0.74 ISO, a 280 WOBA, 230 batting average, like dreadful numbers against lefties. This is also the same team that put up runs on Bryce Elder and Max Fried and Charlie Morton, right? Like, so what version of Pittsburgh is here? What version of Andrew Abbott shows up? Because I mean, this could be another dominant game given the 280 WOBA and the 0.74 ISO, or this is where Abbott pitches to the 4.6 xFIP and, I don't know, name somebody on the Pirates does some damage here, like
Brian Hayes.
Yeah, Brian Hayes, right. So like what's your thoughts here?
So I agree on everything you said. Like Abbott's peripherals, I mean, you've been screaming it from the rooftops to anyone that would listen about Abbott's peripherals, saying like there's regression, and it's reared its head lately. You're right about Pittsburgh, even when you made it 30 days. I'm even trying to condense it to just like make the argument against it, even just in August, right? We're on the 11th day of August. They still rank 22nd in OPS. Like they're still with a 624 team OPS. Mm-hmm. It's all bad. Now I will say, like individually, you can point to, and this isn't against lefties, just in general, Brian Hayes, right? 3 straight games with multi-hits, 3 straight games with 3 RBIs. So he has 9 RBIs in his last 3 games, and they've moved him to the leadoff spot. Brian Reynolds has been awesome lately, but he's done all of his damage against righties. Connor Joe, we've talked about all year long when it's come to, and the Bash Bros don't exist anymore because Rodolfo was traded, but like Connor Joe and Rodolfo Castro were like, again, like that was who were the Mighty Ducks? Who were the Bash Bros on the Mighty Ducks? Like that was who we played against. Yeah. Connor Joe and Rodolfo Castro were those 2. And Connor Joe's been a little better. Home runs in 2 of his last 3 games. So like I agree that the numbers suggest everything's bad. Henry Davis hits in 3 straight games. Andrew McCutchen has been good against lefties this year. 170 ISO, 344 WOBA. So like, it's weird because I know I'm picking like very small samples, but like the Pirates have woken up like this week ish specifically. And Abbott's numbers do like even the last 30 days for Andrew Abbott against righties, right? 181 ISO, 335 WOBA, very high line drive rate, pretty high fly ball rate, 50% hard contact rate, like all bad.
Yeah.
So, and that's in the recent days. So what gives is,
Right.
and that's kind of full circle to what your question is. I wrote Brian Hayes up in today's value article. He's been good for the entire year. 174 ISO against left-handed pitching. Brian Reynolds subpar, but McCutchen 170 ISO, 344 WOBA. Connor Joe over 200 ISO. So I have faith in the top half of this Pirates lineup. It's just the back half that is just so bad and provides little to nothing.
I mean, even the last 7 days, you mentioned all those recent numbers. Last 7 days against lefties, 070 ISO,
right,
298 WOBA. They just stink.
Well, it's just been that was like last 7 in general more so than it was against lefties because like they haven't. They're not. The numbers are just suggesting otherwise.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Just like in general, it's just I don't know which way to go. I don't know which way to go.
Are you gonna like you want to play? Are you like toying with the idea of playing Abbott?
It's an ownership play. So like you said, if people are playing Oviedo, Abbott could be a low roster guy where we've seen him have ceilings. If the lefties go at Oviedo tonight and he gives up 4 runs and Abbott pitches the way the Pirates are hitting, then I could get 25 fantasy points at 1%, right? So how you got to take down these GPPs, man. You got to find the low guys and in spots that people aren't looking. So
he's exactly that. He's exactly that, by the way. He's 1%.
Yeah. I play a 7% Corbin Burns and a 1% Andrew Abbott tonight, and I won't be the billionaire winner from Florida, but I'll be happy, So
unlucky, really.
Let's move on over to catcher. Talk to me about your top targets here.
Moving on to catcher. So Wilson Contreras is the first name that I got to today, and again, that's largely due to Angel Zerpa, who is going to be the long man. And it gets tricky, obviously, with like relief pitchers, but I don't know if you saw Dylan Coleman is starting this game, John, as the opener. Dylan Coleman has pitched 14 innings in the major leagues this year. He has allowed 16 earned runs. He has 14 walks to his 14 walks to his 14 innings. So like even if we have to face him for an at bat, Zerpa's coming in. Zerpa has allowed over a 300 average at AA, AAA in the major league level to right-handed bats, and we've talked about it kind of all year. Not all year, but I would say more so since Wilson Contreras kind of turned his season around. He's crushed lefties. 262 ISO, 378 WOBA against left-handed pitching. Both numbers are either first or second on the Cardinals, and that's against, in offense with Paul Goldschmidt, notable lefty masher, Nolan Arenado, lefty masher. So first catcher that popped was Wilson Contreras for me. And then, like, if you want to spend up, obviously Adley's there, who's been on kind of his own like little power surge, 2 home runs in the last 3 games.
Tonight, even with Mullins back, they just released that lineup. Mullins is hitting 5th tonight.
Ooh, interesting. And then Real Muto gets a lefty, and I think Philly, they came through after a very slow start last night. They're in a damn good spot once again with Dallas Keuchel back on the mound.
Yep. If you're not playing Sanchez, Jeffers against a lefty here, $3,300 looks pretty sweet. We talked about Kirk and the way he was starting to hit, picking up, so you could take a look at him there. You have Carantini down for $2,600 as a punt. You have Rodriguez again. If you're not in on Abbott, $2,500 could be a spot down there. And then you've always given the Maldonado shout against lefties. He's $2,200 today.
Yeah, I mean it's all and like 241 average last 10 games. That's might as well be hitting 500.
Man.
I know.
Homers, too.
He might as well be Barry Bonds at this point. Like that's the best wherever you're ever gonna get out of Maldonado. And 2, your point, John, to my point, for you piling on my point, Martin Maldonado. It's a small sample, okay? 273 ISO. 273, which is better than Kyle Tucker. And we know Kyle Tucker, notable lefty masher. I'm cherry picking him because and 335 WOBA, very respectable. Not higher than Kyle Tucker, actually 105 points lower than Kyle Tucker. But just pointing out, like, very respectable numbers. Now, 34% strikeout rate might not be like the best collision course with big time strikeout arm, Reed Detmers, but there is some power in the Martin Maldonado bat against them.
Yep, I'm with you there. All right, let's move on over to first. So it's a lot more exciting to talk about.
Yeah, Matt Olson.
You have Ohtani and Olson here at 66 and 64, both among the most tied for the league lead in home runs. You have Freeman against Gomber. Got Goldschmidt against, who you mentioned, KC, throwing out guys that are giving up more runs than innings pitched this year. Alonso's been on his home run tear. I mean, where are you going when it comes to these top 5 first basemen?
I mean, look, I don't know how to there's no wrong answer. Ohtani is, the best player in the game. Matt Olson is hitting more home runs than anyone in the game other than the best player in the game. And even against lefties, even if a lefty comes in, I mean, we saw yesterday Olson hit a home run against a lefty. So Olson's my top guy. No problem getting to Freeman if you want. Gomber has been pretty good. It's so weird, John, to see Paul Goldschmidt with his numbers the way they are this year in general. But, dude, what gives against lefties this year? Paul Goldschmidt has a 111 ISO and a 319 WOBA. What the hell is that?
I think it's the gray in his beard, he's getting old, man.
Dude. Guy he hit 330 with a gajillion counting stats last year. You're saying that 1 year later, he's just I'm not saying he's having a bad year.
I mean, Max Kellerman predicted a cliff for Tom Brady for 5 seasons.
I mean, that's sure.
Maybe the cliff is here for Paul Goldschmidt,
Yeah, but Max Kellerman predicted that. Are you saying that? I can't wait till next year, Paul Goldschmidt. Oh, I'm drafting him everywhere. I'm just saying right now.
On my roto team, I'm struggling with this guy here. King of Smack wants to know: would we give Adon a shot at $5,500 on FanDuel?
Dude, he's a little interesting. We didn't talk about him. A little interesting.
He's got Oakland. He pitched really well in his last outing against Cincinnati, 6.3 and 7 Ks.
He's a little interesting.
He would be, because of the matchup against Oakland, probably my lowest price play on DraftKings today that I would consider. So yeah, listen, FanDuel is probably a great spot for him to pitch on because he only gets hurt for any earned runs. Yep. He went 6 innings against Cincy, so the quality start potential is there, the wins there. Yeah, if you want to go 8 on at 55 and just blow out your lineup with Phillies and Dodgers and Braves, whatever, 100% worth it for sure.
Agreed.
Willing to give him the run there, 100%. The Uber J wants to talk about some outfields on FanDuel. We'll hit the outfielders in a moment. We're just going through the positions here, so just hang with us. Those of you who are new to the show, if you could just like and subscribe to the channel, we would much appreciate your support here. But we will certainly be hitting up the FanDuel slate. If you got FanDuel questions when it comes to value, we'll check all of that out for you guys here. Back to first base again, guys. At the top, we talked about this group. I think they're all very much in play. Yes, mid tier, I immediately went to Alec Boehm, just kind of plugged and moved. Yep. Hitting second tonight against Dallas Keuchel feels just like an absolute great place to start building lineups from today.
Yeah, he's been amazing against lefties. And Mark asked how chalk the Phillies bats are. They're not. And that's a little tease to possibly my favorite stack of the day. Seeing Philly not being rostered today is incredibly interesting because, Dallas Keuchel was great. We've talked about it a bunch. He had 7 stolen bases allowed against him. Philly has a bunch of guys that can run, and even guys that couldn't run for, I think it was Arizona, were stealing bases against him.
Christian Walker.
Christian Walker was stealing bases against him. So a little tease. I love Alec Boehm, whether it's first or third, whether that allows you to get up to Matt Olson, like by all means. I would also just in the mid tier, I'd just throw Votto in there. He's been torching baseballs lately. 324 average, 1100 OPS over his last 10 games. And you talked about it when we were touching on Oviedo. It's like the one thing that Oviedo struggles with and has struggled with since the outset of this season has been left-handed bats. Joey Votto has a 327 ISO with a 381 WOBA against righties. So
Yeah.
only other person in this mid tier that really caught my eye, like you could play Salvi if you wanted to, 44. Sure, it's Wainwright. He's been good against righties. But it's Bohm and Votto with a bullet in this mid tier for me.
Yep. I 1,000% agree with you. If you're looking at some value options here, guys, under 4K, Belt against Assad could go there. Moustakas against Verlander if you're not a believer in Verlander. Moustakas has obviously been super hot. And you mentioned Connor Joe's numbers against lefties. He can also find some way into a lineup tonight.
Yeah, honestly, it's Connor Joe for me in the value tier, but like I feel like this is the highest opportunity cost position of the day because like if you're not playing up for, I mean, you mentioned there's 5 guys that over 5K that are like kind of elite, and then you have Bohm, Votto in the mid tier, both elite, and then fortunately for us, if you wanted to play Connor Joe, you could play him in the outfield. So I'm largely spending up, but if I were to use a value first baseman, it would be Connor.
Sure. Moving on over to second base then. Mookie Betts and his 400 ISO against left-handed pitching is up there at $6,500. You got Simeon against Alexander to start. Then Stripling, we think, is the long relief man here.
Yep.
Afterwards at 61. Albies just continues to do Albies things. Altuve against a lefty and Detmers. Marte against a lefty and Snell. Talk to me about this second base, guys. Again, 13-game slate. There's a lot of expensive players. At some point, you have to find a position to spend down on. Is this the position you'd look to do so?
Yep. No question about it. This is my favorite position to spend down on because our your favorite second baseman and my favorite second baseman are priced right up at the same price tag at 3K. So yeah, I mean, look, you can play Mookie. I think seeing the Dodgers ownership low tonight is funny because they let us down in maybe the most sure spot. I mean, they were minus 400 favorites and scored 2 runs off Ty Block, So it's funny to see the Dodgers low owned against lefties when they've been so good against them all year. So you can definitely go Mookie. You can play Semien if you want. Albies has been amazing from both sides of the plate. Like there's plenty of guys to spend up on. Like even Trevor Story gets a lefty if you want to play that. Like he's been notoriously good against lefties. Bryson Stott he's a 22 stolen bases. You want to talk about stealing bases off of Dallas Keuchel? Like that's your guy. Like he's going to steal a base, and he hits. He hit a lefty yesterday. He faced a lefty yesterday, and like scored 2 runs and stole a base. So there's plenty, but I just gravitate to Michael Massey and Bryce Terang, and they're 2 of the 4 most popular plays of second base today on DraftKings. So the field is with us here, John.
Yeah, 100% Massey. Obviously, last 10 games, 273, 879, 2 homers on a stolen bag. Then you've been in on the Terang bus as well, 379, 1,000 OPS, 2 homers and 3 stolen bases the last 10 for him. Getting Michael Kopech here, who struggled against lefties on the year. So I agree with you. This is certainly going to be a spot where I look to spend down as well. Kevin Biggio hitting 5th tonight. Oh man, sound the alarm.
Oh, you're
sound the alarm.
6. John has never gone 6 to midnight, and it's so fast.
Not like the 5th, man. Hitting 5th tonight. Woo, love that. So I'm with you though. The value tier here is where I am looking to go. Obviously, if you wanted Nolan Gorman hitting cleanup tonight,
sure.
Perfect. Love it. 4,300, such a good price tag for him there. Then you mentioned, obviously, Coleman at some point comes out. You got a lefty coming in. We know Tommy Edman hits lefties really well. Dubon's hitting 6 tonight for Houston. That's a little interesting. So, second base full of guys under 4K you can throw in your lineups tonight.
Yep. I mean, I don't have much to add. I do like your Gorman shout because he's hit lefties well, and Zerpa's, again, expected to be the guy coming in out of the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
The Edman thing is interesting as well because if we are getting a lengthy lefty here, like, and Edmonds hitting ninth, like, he's very free. No one's gonna play this part of the stack. Yeah, it's an interesting call out.
Your thoughts on the stolen bases, by the way, for the Phillies, a little interesting. Trey Turner's plus 320 tonight for stolen base. Bryson Stott plus 380 tonight for stolen base. So,
Interesting. I mean,
some
he just allowed so many. I don't understand. Like, maybe no, there's no like surefire reason as to why he gave up so many stolen bases. He was giving up a lot of them.
yeah, no, I mean, listen again. We think it could just very well be the fact that he can't throw over 7
Right.
times, right? So, where's Wilson at? Wilson is outfield only now, huh?
Yeah,
He's
he played. Yeah, yeah.
425 for stolen base. He already has one in the 2 games that he's played. So, interesting. All right, third base position. You got the lefty Ellie against Oviedo here. You got Riley. You have Arenado, Machado, Devers, Bregman, Gunnar. Again, big slate, a lot of top end talent here. How do you decide where you want to go tonight?
I mean, Riley Arenado stand out for me the most in this. If you want to play Ellie, you've said it a bunch recently. It's like it's very expensive. You need him to hit a home run or have his or steal home like he did
Right.
a month
It
ago.
seems like moons ago, right? That
Yeah, it does. It does. So Riley and Arenado for me at the top. And then, like, I'll take stabs on Bregman if playing multiple lineups. I'll take stabs on Gunnar if playing multiple lineups. We know how contrarian Baltimore is going to be with Luis Castillo garnering a lot of ownership. So I would take stabs on all of them. And then, when you get down to the mid tier, you can you could play Bolmir if you want, or you want to take a stab at someone contrarian. How about the Rockies? Like, I know Ryan McMahon's been hitless in 5 straight games, but he's been really good.
Got a homer off of Lance Lynn tonight, right? So.
But it's like death taxes a left-handed bat homering against Lance Lynn at this point.
I mean, I'm in on Nolan Jones tonight. That's like my favorite play in this, maybe on the slate. But I agree with you. Somebody's homering here. You can go Michael Garcia if you want. Ezekiel Duran down here for some value. Brian Hayes, as you talked about, is leading off now at $3,400. Willie Castro, again, we had a question in chat again about Sanchez here. The numbers recently for Minnesota against lefties are really good. On the season, they're terrible. So what version of Minnesota shows up? That's the question. The one that has a 260 ISO against left-handed pitching, or the one that has like the 4th highest strikeout rate against left-handed pitching? Because if the ISO Minnesota shows up, Sanchez is in trouble. If the other one shows up, Sanchez could be one of the best values on the slate.
Yeah, and the problem I think that Minnesota might have is the ground ball rate that Sanchez has. It's insane. Castro is obviously interesting because he's, Castro's leading off, and so like that's interesting. I just find it hard for Minnesota to like really pique my interest because they strike out a lot and Sanchez keeps the ball on the ground, and all Minnesota can do really against left-handed pitching is hit a home run.
I agree with you. All right, move on over to short. Seager's 63. Bobby Witt against Wainwright at 58. Turner here against Keuchel at 52. Those are the top 3 for me.
Yeah. Obviously I have no problem getting to Seager. I haven't, and maybe that's my fault because he just continues to be great.
He's got 1,000 OPS for the year.
No, it's not that I'm like against it. I just have gotten to Witt in against Wainwright, and I truthfully have gotten to Trey Turner, who, we said it going into yesterday. He had been better, and now he continued that stretch, homering yesterday, hits in 6 straight games, multi-hits in 3 of those, so it honestly, like, no problem getting to Seager, but Witt and Turner have mostly filled my
no, not even really any arguments for me here on that aspect of it all either. Moving down into the mid tier, I love CJ Abrams at $4,400. He's just always been a plug and play for us this season. You mentioned nobody playing the Dodgers. You do have Rosario here. I know Gomber as brought up in chats, looked pretty good his last couple of starts. But it's like, what's the realistic? What's the real Gomber? The guy that had like a 6 ERA for most of the year, or the recent performances? So, especially against the Dodgers lineup, could be willing to take some chances there. Where else are you looking at shortstop tonight?
I mean, Willie Adames is interesting, John. He's checking in as the highest rostered shortstop of the day. And I was going to just ask you this as a bundle,
Sure.
as a kind of as like a bucket statement. What do you make of Milwaukee being the highest rostered team of the night?
It's interesting. I think there are certainly guys on Milwaukee that I like Frelick and Yelich. Obviously, Frelick's price tag is up now, so not as cheap as he had been, but I do like Christian Yelich a lot here tonight. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's Adames just, it doesn't feel like the right spot for me to use him there. So I'd rather use Abrams at $100 cheaper, man. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you tell me he's the highest rostered shortstop tonight?
Yeah, him and Bobby Witt. And then Terang is there as well, but Terang benefits from the multi-position eligibility because he's also shortstop eligible. And that's the thing. I'd rather, because if you plug Massey Terang as your like second shortstop, like that's where you're getting your value. That's how you can afford Corbin Burns and stuff. So that's largely what I've been doing. I just wanted to get your opinion on Milwaukee getting so much love in terms of ownership.
All right, let's move on over to the outfield. I know we had some questions looking for value, so we'll kind of hit on that as we move our way down. But obviously, FanDuel has some pretty cheap options on their board. They just generally do with the way they list out their pricing for players. At the top, again, a lot of the core guys here. You have Acuna, Betts, Ohtani. We love both lefties for Houston, even though it's against Detmers and Jordan and Tucker. Adolis has been on another one. Soto against Ryan Nelson matchup tonight feels super great. Yelich, as I mentioned, it's Kobik's one of my favorite plays here today. So, as usual, when it comes to these top price outfielders, it's stack dependent. Usually, these are the best hitters on their team. Find the right stack, plug in the best hitter, and build around them.
Yeah, I find it interesting that Tatis is rivaling Soto's ownership, even though Tatis has hit less than 100 over his last 10 games. Because I'm with you. I'd rather, of the two, obviously I'd rather play.
Yeah, Soto, lefties have a 357 WOBA and a 514 slugging percentage against Ryan Nelson. Soto's got a 415 WOBA and a 280 ISO against righties. So,
yeah, I know. I mean, it's more so like I don't understand the love for Tatis, especially like Soto's just been so good compared to Tatis. You can play really anyone. Like Acuna's up there, obviously. McGill has been terrible. You can play either Houston lefty. They've been amazing against lefties this year. And I believe what I was just looking at is Reed Detmers is actually, let's see, where is this game? Houston is actually really bad against lefties, John. 208 ISO, 395 WOBA allowed to left-handed bats. So you could play either Houston guy. Adolis is obviously in play, as you mentioned. Christian Yelich checking in, and I guess that brings me back to the point about Milwaukee's ownership. He's the highest rostered outfielder on FanDuel. He's the second highest rostered outfielder.
Yeah, I like Yelich tonight. I do. He's got to fit a stack for me. I don't think I'd play him as a one-off. I just like some of the other guys better than him. But it's what's interesting to me is that Milwaukee's not home, right? We usually like home Milwaukee in these spots, not road Milwaukee in these spots. But Kobik's had some trouble keeping the ball in the yard in his home ballpark this year, so I think that could have a little bit to play with it as well. Moving down into this 4K tier, again, I do like Washington Thomas here. I think fits, but I mean, how do you not go with Castellanos the way he's been running? Gets another lefty, 3 homers in 2 days. I mean, he is rolling. He was my home run call on the Better Sports Betting Show. He was my home run call last night, and it hit. So keep it going.
Yeah, man, would I love to have him on my road team right now.
Especially if you were like dead last in home runs and OPS, you could probably use the power. But
man, that joke is never gonna die. I love getting to Castellanos here. Honestly, I'd play Schwarber for a couple hundred more, 5,100 as well. Dude, listen. I've watched enough of Dallas Keuchel the last couple of years to know that whatever happened in that first start against an Arizona team that's lost 8 in a row
But you'd
is a
rather
fluke.
pay more
He's
money for Schwarber than Castellanos, given the way Castellanos is paying?
no, just playing
Playing them both.
both.
I thought you
Playing
said you
both.
would rather
I'm
pay for Schwarber.
no. I'm saying I would
Got it.
also
Okay,
play
okay,
Kyle
okay.
Schwarber. I would definitely not
I
rather
thought you
play. I'm
said
just saying
rather play Schwarber, and I was like,
no,
really?
no, 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 no,
Okay,
no, 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 no.
okay.
I would play them
Glad
both.
we would clear that one. Faisal wants to know if Sale has limitations today. Um,
Yeah, they said four innings, right? I think Alex Cora said
yeah,
4 innings.
not a spot I'm looking to go. So,
Yeah.
plus again, I'm a little Detroit. I feel like has been a little feisty at times. So, moving down into this other guy again, Nootbaar is there. I like Santander for the home run play. Always in on Merrifield. Again, Frelick's price tag is up, but 4,500 still probably feels more appropriate. Hitting cleanup, so I'm definitely willing to go there. Friedel, we talked about Oviedo struggles against lefties. I'll keep telling you to play Michael Harris. You can listen to me if you want or not, but keep doing it. He's great. 4,400 is too cheap. So get him in your lineups. So I'm a big fan of that. Mullins back at 43 is kind of interesting. Story's back leading off. If you're not playing Adon, there's that. But then, as I mentioned, quick way just to get all the way down to Nolan Jones here at 41. I think he homers tonight. I think Nolan Jones is the guy to take Lance Lynn deep.
I don't have like a strong. I'm not gonna like go against you.
I mean, even
they're
like the
gonna
home road
run.
splits. I mean, this is a guy that has Coors Field as his home park, but he's hitting better on the road this year. So it's not a product of the Rocky Mountains. Give Nolan Jones here against a homer prone Lance Lynn. I am all in on Nolan Jones tonight.
Yeah, one off.
Oh yeah, not stacking,
not
but
even
a one off Nolan Jones, 100%.
Yep. Yeah, 231 isolated power against righties, 372.
Only 3K on
second
FanDuel tonight. So you want to talk value plays? This 3K tier on FanDuel: Springer, Jones, Harris, Friedel, all look pretty tasty to me.
I like them all. I think I would probably, if I'm playing Pittsburgh, take a look at Brian Reynolds 43, just because of how good he's been.
But no Riley Green for the Tigers tonight, so Chris Sale getting a little bit of an easier lineup to face for Detroit here. Under 4K, where are you looking to go on DraftKings?
First name I drifted to was Tyler O'Neill at 3,700. He's been good this year, man. And by this year, I mean lately, since the break. And he's gonna face Zerpa, and 303 average, 546 slug, 915 OPS. That's what righties have against him at AA, AAA, and the major league level. Since the second half started, O'Neill has a 855 OPS, 228 ISO, 369 WOBA. And against left-handed pitching the entire year, it's been a great year. 839 OPS, 182 ISO, 367 WOBA. So sign me up for some Tyler O'Neill. And you want to circle back to that question from the Uber J. Tyler O'Neill is my answer for favorite FanDuel outfield. He's $2,600 on FanDuel. So that would be one of the two. And you just said Nolan Jones is 3K. So there you go. Nolan Jones and Tyler O'Neill.
I'm with you there for sure. Other guys that are down here, we mentioned already, Connor Joe's got dual position eligibility. Ruff Snyder leading off for Boston tonight against a lefty. That's business as usual. Jordan Walker, 3K. Down here for some power potential. Where was the other one that I was looking at? Benson's down here, 35.
MJ Melendez, 33.
Yeah, probably, right?
He gets
Waino. Yeah, you're right. 33 hitting fifth. I like that. I like that call. I felt like there was I had an under. Was it Burleson?
Under
was it
3K?
Burleson? Might have been Burleson. Yeah, it was Burleson. Dual positional eligibility too. We got the old Pujols Goldschmidt potential play. We can also play them both with Burleson in the lineup. Been really good. So that's probably it for me.
Weston Wilson, 28. That might have been who
Wilson.
Were you allegedly looking for Weston Wilson?
$2,800. Obviously 0 for 1, didn't with the walk last game, but 1 for 3 with the home run and the stolen base in the first night. You're talking about that matchup. against Dallas Keuchel. So, anybody else for you? Alrighty.
Nope.
Give me your home run call.
Are you going with the Philly? Are you going with Castellanos?
I'm going
or are you
Nolan
going with
Jones.
Nolan Jones? Okay, I'm gonna go Trey Turner.
Okay, Mark says he's playing the 2K Oakland guy. Leroy Butler, Lawrence Butler.
If you want to play Lawrence Butler, that's fine.
15 homers, 21 stolen bases, getting called up.
He had a good time at AA and AAA. Now, the caveat is he plays in the PCL, so there's always that. But plenty of people have played at the PCL and still been good at the major league.
I agree. All right, you went Castellanos, Trey Turner. You went Trey Turner.
No,
yeah, I'm going Nolan Jones. What's your top stack?
Philly.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I'm gonna go Atlanta. Good your value and or contrarian stack.
Not so contrarian, more so value. I'm gonna go St. Louis. I think St. Louis provides pretty good value. Like obviously Goldschmidt, Arenado are costly. Everyone else is.
I'm going Baltimore. Shocker to the world. Give me the O's against a guy that gives up a lot of home runs.
Do I know what their ownership is? Non-existent.
Nobody ever plays. I play Baltimore.
They're comparable in ownership to the Colorado Rockies tonight.
Fair enough. All right, Corbin Burns is in. What's our SP2 tonight?
One of the 7K pitchers, I would say.
Would you go 8 on against Oakland?
I wouldn't. Would I? Yes. I don't think he has. I like him as much as like Skubal or Sanchez.
Let's go Skubal then.
But
Ozuna, Olson, Castellanos, Melendez, Springer, all homers. I mean, go parlay that, man. That hits.
Yeah.
Saw somebody the other day. Lewis Robert cashed his home run parlay, won like 5 into 35K or something like that. So we all believe in miracles here, guys. We got a minute to go. We ran out of time here. Get us in the Discord. Go to fansalarm.com/all-pro. Promo code alarm. You get premium Discord here. That's where we're starting it. You know who our stacks are tonight. Find us on Twitter. Tweet at us if you want some lineup advice here tonight as well. And we will catch you guys